appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about this. Clear, clean, safe water provided in places like this village that this child lives in Uganda that have never in the history of that village, that community, known safe water or even water distributed inside their community before. And to get started, what I'd like to do is kind of go back in time and start at somewhat of the beginning. After college, I went to work with an engineering firm in Gainesville, Florida. I worked there until I became a Christian. And then about a year after I became a Christian, was called to go to seminary and become a pastor. And then one day, in my office in church in Central Florida, this young lady walked through the door, Karen Derry. She was 15 years old at the time. Karen walked in and she said, "I've been cleaning out my closet and I have a bunch of shoes that I don't want to use anymore, but I don't want to throw them away because they're still in good shape. And I believe that God wants me to give these to people in another country who could make use of them." And she asked me what I thought of the idea. And I said, "Karen, that is a wonderful idea." And so one thing led to another, and Karen led our church and other organizations in collecting hundreds of pairs of shoes to send to the people of Haiti. So we organized a mission trip from the church, and in January of 2009 went to Haiti to hand out those shoes, and then once we had done that, to work on other projects. And some of the projects that I worked on were water projects. What we were going to do was to provide water access points in 3 villages that had no access to clean water, and this was going to be connected to a deep well that was about a half a mile away. We worked several days to construct those water access points, and this is the reason why we were doing it. I was surprised to learn, in fact I was shocked to learn, that people in Haiti do not have plumbing in their homes. They don't have access to water that's safe to drink. They don't have toilets in their homes. You know, in the United States, in Western culture, we're so accustomed. You turn the tap on and water comes out that you can drink directly. It's safe to drink. It's not an issue. You have a toilet and then you flush the toilet and the sanitation is taken care of. But in places like Haiti and developing countries, you see a water source. People have to leave their homes to go to the water source and collect water. So in this picture, you see someone collecting water to drink. You see someone bathing. You see people washing clothes. There are people who wash their dishes, and what you don't see in this picture is animals will come to that same water source, stand in the water and drink, and go to the bathroom. So in one stretch of that stream, you can have all of those things taking place. And I saw that while I was there, while I was working on those water access points. We worked several days to do this, and I was very glad that we were doing it. But you know how long those access points lasted? Less than a day. The morning after we finished, we went back to the water access points and they had failed. And it occurred to me, I asked the folks that we were with who were managing this, I said, "Did you have an engineer take a look at this and design these access points?" And the answer was no. And you know, I was angry and brokenhearted because those people had to go back to this. And this is what they were going to be condemned to be drinking. And so I prayed about it for a year. And then after praying about it, it seemed to me that I was going to try to combine the 2 halves of my adult life, the engineering half and the ministry half, into one position. So I took a leave of absence from the Methodist Church, and 1 month into that leave of absence was hired by Water Missions International. It's a Christian engineering ministry that works to provide access to safe water and sanitation on a sustainable basis around the world. My responsibilities with Water Missions led me to learn a lot about water-related illnesses and problems, and I'm only going to share 2 statistics with you. One is from the UN. Lack of safe water and sanitation is the biggest cause of illness in the world. None bigger, none greater. And the second statistic is that waterborne diseases cause the death of 1.5 million children every year. That's children who are 5 years and under. So that translates to a child dies every 21 seconds from a water-related illness, and it is not a pleasant death. So in working with my folks in Africa, here is the kind of issue that you see. This is a Maasai who has just dipped water from this pond, and you can see how dirty that water is, but it's the only source of water that they have. They don't have another source of water. And those animals, the cows, the sheep, the goats, the donkeys, have just gone down into that water and stood in it and drank from the same water source that this Maasai is drinking from. Uganda, this is the nearshore waters of Lake Victoria. These people, the women and children, are the ones who get water. Men don't do this. Women and children, it's their job. So they're standing in a boat. This end of the boat is on the shore, this end sticking out into the water, and you can see how muddy and turbid that water is. The reason they're standing in the boat is because it's safer. There's an organism in the water that when they walk into the water, that organism burrows into their skin and actually causes problems. There are lots of issues that have to do with water in developing countries. Water makes you sick. That's one issue. Another is that it's dangerous to actually access the water. This little guy is waded out into Lake Victoria, and the reason he's doing that is because the water is clearer out there. It's not as turbid and as muddy, so it's a little cleaner. But the problem is that there are crocodiles out here. It's a fact of life. It's just part of the way that these folks live, that they understand that some of their children are going to be attacked by crocodiles. And then once you go outside the safety of the community, once you leave the boundaries of the community, then you're subject to being attacked. Who gets the water? Women and children. So the women and the girls are subject to get attacked by men and by older boys. A lot of people in Africa, in developing countries, have to walk long distances to get water. That young man is carrying 5 gallons of water on his head. He has walked down into a valley to get the water. It weighs 40 pounds, and he has to do this every day, along with everybody, the other women and children in his village. What you don't see is that I'm standing there right behind him when I took this photograph. This was in 2012. He just finished laughing at me because I was carrying a camera, and I had to stop and take a break. He's carrying 40 pounds of water on his head and walked all the way from the bottom up to the top. And if you turn around and look the other direction, that's what you see. You see women carrying 40 pounds of water on their head from down in the valley back up to their village. They don't have to do this anymore because we put a water system that pumps water from that source up to their village. And then long wait times. People will go very early in the morning to take their plastic buckets to a water source, and this is often the only water source in the area. This water source is outside of the community, and they have to wait. You can see they're called jerry cans. They line them up and wait their turn to get access to the only water source in the area. Now those are women and children. You can see all the little children. They should be in school, but they can't be in school because they have to wait there to get water. Water is necessary to live, and it's more important than school. I want to share a couple of definitions with you, and these definitions are going to become goals. One is safe water. Safe water is water that you drink that doesn't make you sick. You and I could drink it. That's what I'm talking about with safe water. And safe also means that I can access it. You can access it without putting yourself in danger to get to the water. And then sustainable simply means it's intended to last forever. Not 1 year, not 2 years. It's intended, once you make the investment, once you partner with a community, it's intended that it's going to be a permanent solution in that community. Those goals are very achievable. Over the last 5 years, I've been working with water missions, and we have implemented hundreds of safe water systems in communities. I can tell you that it's very achievable if you pay attention to some key values as you work to implement those solutions. And the first value is this: a commitment to excellence. You know, I think a lot of people understand, and for me, Dr. Richard Feynman, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, gave voice to it. Basically what he said was, it doesn't matter what you say about something. It doesn't matter how many people might agree with you. If you don't conducted, if you don't implement it according to the laws and the principles, the standards that govern whatever that is, then the problems with it are going to be revealed. So in our case, if we engineer something that is not correct, if it doesn't agree with the principles of engineering that govern water or electricity or whatever it might be, then the problems are going to develop down the road for that, in our case, safe water system. So if it's worth doing, then it's worth doing well. And if you do that, if you commit to excellence and pay the price for that excellence, then it results in minimal operating costs. It absolutely minimizes the effort to maintain that system down the road. So it maximizes the sustainability of that system. It's a life value, isn't it? You build a house with a good foundation, and it's going to have a minimum problems, at least from the structural aspect of the house. The second value is this: people are of sacred worth. In my case, I translate that, or I understand that as people are made in the image of God. But what it means is people have an inherent value. When you look at someone, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what country they're from, what nation, what language they speak, the color of their skin, how much money they have or don't have. When you look at them and how you regard them in terms of their worth and their capabilities, their potential, makes a difference in how you do everything in association with those people. So what it means from our perspective is that when we go into a community, we don't go into a community to say, let me fix this for you. Because if you do that, you create a state of dependency, right? And that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is to empower. What you want to do is to help, but partner with a community. So we go into a community and say, here's what we can do together. Working together, your gifts and skills, our gifts and skills working together, we can have a result, and here's what the result will be. And so we do a lot of training. And in that training, we ask a lot of questions, and we do a lot of listening, because we're wanting to know about the people that we're working with, and want them to be able to express their goals, what they want out of working together, or what they would like to see in the future as far as having water in their community. I want to just quickly, in winding down, just show you some of the pieces of a typical safe water system in a community. This is a treatment house with steel doors, and you can see the solar array on top of the treatment house. That array provides 100% of the power that's needed for that safe water system, which means that after the initial cost is a little higher, but after the construction is done, the electricity costs are zero. And so for the next 20 years, you'll get at least 85% of the power that's available from that solar array, and it doesn't cost the community a thing. This is a technician in Uganda named Jose. He has constructed that solar frame that holds those solar panels. Jose is an artist with a welder. We have about 60 staff, full-time staff in Africa. Engineers, technicians, community development workers, folks who work in administration. And Jose is the finest welder that we have on staff in Africa. This is a technician named Rogers, and what he is doing is connecting the solar power, the solar array, to the pump control. Rogers is a delightful fellow. You would like him. This is inside the treatment house, and this shows some erosion chlorinators that we develop and manufacture. And it's a simple and durable process of treating water. But in this case, all the water needed to be done to it was chlorinating. It didn't need to be filtered to make it clear. We use the solar power to pump the water through treatment and then up to elevated storage. This is a rust-free plastic tank that's resistant to sunlight, and from there it flows by gravity to distribution points inside the community. And this is one of those distribution points. You can see the faucets right here. People don't have to go outside of the community anymore. They can go inside the community to get water. It's safe, and there's no waiting because there are multiple access points in the community. And this is the result. The thing about this Those children are holding, you can see how clear that water is. That water is treated and it's safe. I drink that water. I drink that water. This is a community of Muslim in Uganda. I was there in September. If they drink this water, they will never ever get sick from drinking the water. And the incidence of death in that community for children will go to zero because of water-related disease. It's something that's very doable if you adhere to values in doing it. It's very doable and it's very sustainable. And then I want to close back with Karen. This picture was taken when she was at the University of Florida. She has now graduated, but while she was at the University of Florida, Karen started a nonprofit organization of which she's the founder and the president called A Walk in My Shoes. They have now distributed, the last count I had was 19,000 pairs of shoes to the people of Haiti, but that's an old number. This is a nonprofit organization that young lady started and leads. She adheres to those values I was talking about, a commitment to excellence and a commitment to value people and regard people as of sacred worth. And the end result is something that's pretty wonderful. Thank you very much.